So we're starting out with some 5.5 by 24 inch by 1/2 inch poplar boards. We're going to draw the basic design out with a Sharpie. You can get as artistic with it as you feel like, as long as you make sure that you leave about 1 inch at the bottom to put your bolts or rivets through, and you bring the rails at least halfway up on your saw blade. So here's the design I come up with. It's 1.5 inch wide, 6 inch handle, 1 inch for all the bolts to go through, 2 3/4 inches for the rail, and if you measure it from here, which is where the saw blade is going to start, then it's 15.5 inches for the track that it actually travels down before it leaves. So we start out by cutting out the whole entire thing with a jigsaw. It is such a good feeling when you're 3% into a build and you can already tell it's going to be freaking awesome. Now take your 1/2, put it on your other poplar board, and then trace that out and cut it out again and make a duplicate. So now we got the 2 identical brackets. Take one of them, put it on a thinner piece of wood like this hardboard, trace it out with a Sharpie, draw the track onto it, and then cut it out with a jigsaw. Now put the spacer on one of the brackets and then make a dot about halfway up the curve on the bracket. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is just where we're going to put the magnet. I'm going to be using one of these magnets that I got from Home Depot to put in there. It's 0.47 inches, so I have a 1/2 inch spade bit on it, and you just drill the hole. I'll show you how to get the magnet fixed in there more towards the end of the video, but I don't want to put it in there yet because we're going to be cutting metal still, and this metal dust comes off of it when you cut metal, so I don't want to get that all over the magnet. Okay, now we're going to make the rail guard. Remember, this piece isn't 100% necessary, but it will prolong the life of the weapon. We're going to use some 28 gauge galvanized steel. So take a Sharpie, make a line that's a 1/2 inch above the edge, and make it all the way across. If you don't have a square, go buy one this very second. It will change your whole entire life. Once the line's drawn on there, then put the bracket down and line it up with the line. Then once it's all lined up, trace around the edge here and right here. And if you feel like doing the handle, you can do that too, but I'm going to skip that just because I don't want to deal with cutting all that out with just an angle grinder. Now cut this out with an angle grinder and then trace it back on the other side and then do it again. Okay, quick tip, you can use a couple of pieces of angle iron and put them in your vise like this to widen the grip of it. You're going to have to do this for this next part. Once you got your angle irons in, you're going to take your 28 gauge and put it in between the cracks. And put it down so that the line is perfectly lined up with the angle iron. Now clamp it down really tight and then do whatever it takes to get this edge bent flat with the angle iron. I'm probably just going to use a blacksmithing hammer, or I might put it up against it like this and use a different hammer to pound on this end and just go along the edge that way. So I got that one done. Now I just got to do the other one in the opposite direction. Oh, I almost forgot. If you could just cut a little piece right here so that the magnet could still be exposed, that would be great. Now take this and go put it back into the vise with the angle iron like this so that the 28 gauge is visible from the top. And you can use Gorilla Glue for this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my drill probably 5 holes along the length of it, and then I'm going to pop some rivets in it. If you're afraid that the rivets might split the wood, don't worry about it, because when it's clamped up with the angle iron like this, that'll hold it together. So here's how you fix the magnet into it. Take a piece of steel, put it down on the table. I've got a steel table, so I don't actually have to do this, but if your table's made of wood, then yeah, you have to do it. Put the steel down, take a piece of non-ferrous metal like aluminum or just a slick piece of wood or maybe a tile or something like that, and put it on top of the steel. Then take your bracket that you're going to be putting the magnet into, put it face down like with the guard on the inside, and then get your magnet ready and heat up your hot glue gun. Then drop 1 drip of glue into the hole and then throw the magnet in there and squish it down really fast. Make sure you squish it down fast enough that the glue is still hot and that it can still squish out and fill in the gaps around the magnet. And then once you've done that and the magnet's in there and it's perfectly flat, then just fill this in with hot glue. Just fill the rest of the hole in. for it to cool down. Okay, now that it's all cooled down, flip this thing over, take the steel off, and then just twist this a little bit and it'll come off. And there you go, now it's fixed in there. So now just take a razor blade and just kind of scrape that off right there. Alright, I got it cleaned off, so now I'm gonna put some tape on it to keep any metal dust from getting on it. Alright, we're getting super close to being done. Take your spacer, put it down on top of the bracket, make sure it's all lined up perfectly, and then take your other spacer, put it down on top of that. Oh wait, take the tape off. Once we got everything lined up, now we gotta get everything clamped up. Just put the clamps in spaces where all 3 layers are present, but put them in places where you're not gonna drill through to put the bolts on. And now that it's all clamped up, we just take the drill and start drilling in spots where we want to put bolts. Alright, I got 4 sets of nuts, bolts, washers, and lock washers, and now I'm just gonna put them into the 4 holes that I drilled. Ooh, we're getting close, guys. Now take the clamps off. So I put a piece of tape over the opening so that I don't get any sawdust or any big chunks of wood in there. But now nearly all that's left to do is just rounding out the back of it and shaping out the handle a little bit more. For the shaping of the handle, I'm gonna mostly use a knife. For the rounding of the whole back side of it, I'm probably gonna use that thing. And then to finish all of it off, I'm going to use a poop ton of sandpaper. So I got the edges and the handle all rounded out. The handle feels incredible, and it's actually a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be, so I've been fighting the temptation this whole time, but I'm thinking I am going to put some kind of a plate on the back of it so that the whole thing can be used as a war club. Once you've thrown the saw blade, then you can just flip it around and use the back to like smash some zombie skulls with. But we'll get to that later, maybe even in a different video. But for now, I'm gonna lay some flat black on this really quick. This is one of my favorite parts. Oh yeah. How many of you OCD freaks out there will murder me if I don't pull this off the rest of the way? I'm not gonna do it. Oh. And yes, I did finish painting up the handle, if you noticed that in that last clip. Aside from the crappy paint job, this thing is looking pretty clean. All that's left is a paracord wrap on the handle. So the paracord wrap is done, and so is the weapon. This is it, completely finished. I mean, if you haven't noticed, there's tons of open canvas right here. You can do any kind of war painting or put your call sign on it, whatever you want to do. But all you really have to do now is take the saw blade, put it in so that the teeth right here face forwards as they roll down. Slide it in. The magnet locks it in place so it doesn't fall out. And then all you really gotta do is just swing it like a club, and the saw blade just flies out of it. So here's the target me and my little brother just totally wrecked. If you want to see the saw blade slinger in action, click here. If you're a sick animal and this paracord wrap is the only thing that interested you out of the whole entire video, then click here. If you fancy seeing the full-size saw blade slinger in action, as well as a few other pretty dope weapons and armor, then go ahead and click here. And here's the link to my vlog channel. I made the vlog channel so I wouldn't have to bug anybody with all of my non-weapon related stuff, so pretty much anything that I'm working on that doesn't have to do with weapons goes there, so you don't have to go there, but, you know, if you're interested, then you can always use a couple extra subscribers. But that's it for this video. I'll see you guys later. Bye.